We're talking about preparation for that show. When John had went to study abroad in Japan, you kind of had a lot on your plate. I think a lot of people could see. A lot of people could see. Like it was a lot for you, but you said you were it was a lot of venting out to God, releasing it into his hands. Like how did that process look for you? Yo, 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 what's going on, y'all? This is my sixth episode of Living with Elijah. I'm here. We're going towards the end of August right now. I have a lot of content coming soon, so you guys just stay tuned. This episode will be dropping this Friday, again at 5 o'clock. We have a new episode coming next Friday. I just dropped a episode with my boy Mikey. You guys can check out. We're 5 episodes in, so we're going to get this started. I have here Alayna. She is also in my grade, a junior here at Central Michigan. So we just going to get started. Alayna, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Alayna. People call me Alayna, the Alayna Jones. And I'm a junior, like Elijah said, and I'm majoring in broadcast and cinematic arts with a minor in fashion, visual merchandising, and journalism.
Alayna, you want to give like some background about yourself, like where you come from, like family background, family dynamic.
So originally I'm from Detroit, 313. So basically I grew up in like a household with my mom and dad. My brothers were there for a short amount of time, but mostly I've kind of just been living up like the only child and everything.
How many brothers?
Two. They're like real older than me.
Okay, so you're the youngest.
Yeah. I'm the youngest, so I was always the baby of it all. But
baby child.
They were always the influence to everything that I'm interested in today. To like when it comes to like my career and stuff, just like of the coolness and background of like Black culture.
Right.
It was all from them. Yeah, it comes from my brothers. My brothers really like influenced me to kind of like, do the stuff that I'm doing today.
What impact has that had on like who you are today and like what you choose to go into?
Wow, that's a good question. The impact really is just like the drive that I have. I remember it would be days where like my grandmother, like the reason I am like in fashion and stuff is because my grandmother and like some of my family, because she would be downstairs, like it would be a basement and it would either smoking cigarettes or you or you sewing clothes. Okay. Which was like no in between. No in between. It was either smoking cigarettes or doing clothes. Okay. So she would be down there.
And you chose clothes.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So she's sitting down there. Oh yeah. She's sitting down there just like doing it, like she would make jean jackets, jean purses. And before it even got cool, and she would even do stuff like make clothes for my Barbies. Dang. So I would like play with Barbies and stuff, and she would be like, I can do it better than them. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's sitting there like, I would just literally, she'll be like, Alayna, come down here and watch me do this. Yeah. Like had a cigarette on his ass right there, and I would literally see her like stitching the stuff, putting it all together, and it just made me so like interested. Like wow, like if this is, I was so intrigued by it. And originally, I would think like I want to go into sports management because it's something my father wanted, but no, like.
But now you kind of figure out what you really.
Yes, I love looking at magazines the whole time. That's when I figured out that's what I want to do.
That's real. That's real. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me like my love for videography, it kind of like, I wouldn't say it came from anybody in my life because I didn't really have an outlet to that. Like I didn't have anyone kind of push me towards that. Like I started out video editing. Yeah. That's what I started with. And I found that like freshman year of high school and I stepped into that. It was nobody who like presented that to me. I had an Instagram page and I saw a lot of sports edits that I really liked. And I wanted to create some of my own, and I did. And when I started doing that, I think I really like the idea of creating something for, other people's enjoyment and to showcase. I like the idea of creating something that was much bigger than myself, you know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
creating something that meant something. Like when I created these, basketball mixtapes, they weren't about me. They were about these players. And I love the idea of that, to like highlight or showcase somebody's abilities, through such a creative way. And that's why I really fell in love with editing. Then I found videography, which was kind of like video editing. It was just the other side of it. It was just me, recording.
Mhm.
And so
That's how you found your passion.
exactly. And then now I found this podcast, and it's also bigger than myself because I have guests like you, like, I have people coming on to this podcast that are sharing their stories. And, while it's also filling me, it's filling y'all as well. So that's really how I found this. And yeah, it's been good. It's been good. But just like you said, you're going into fashion design, correct?
And
Okay.
also journalism too.
Okay. That's your mind.
Yeah, but it was my first love.
Okay.
First love.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you start? Like, has that been your major this whole time since you got here?
So originally journalism was my first like major, and then I switched to broadcast because it's more broad. It's more like you can do different stuff. And at the time, I don't think I just want to do writing. I want to do, I want to be able to be versatile with it and stuff. So that's why I chose like as a career to go into more like magazines and stuff, because like I've always had like a gift for writing according to other people. Like I don't, like when I was younger, I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to communicate. And that's why I'm such an advocate now for like standing up for yourself and being able to tell your story. Don't let others tell yours, because like literally from kindergarten, like when I would try to talk to the other kids, it would literally like cause me, like I would feel like I had to throw up every time I said a word. Yes, like it made teachers worry, like why is she not talking in class? And I sat there, they just gave me, they were like, hey, like maybe if we give her like a piece of paper, she'll write something down. And I wrote down about my whole entire day, like in papers, and just said, can I get some more paper? And I would just write the whole entire day. And ever since then, like I would do poem stuff like around the school and stuff, and just try to like, if I'm uncomfortable with talking and I saw like my family members, they're more like, vocal and stuff. What they really like, my cousin inspired me because she works for Seattle News. Or not, she's like the face of it. So I
got a lot of connections.
Yeah, I do, and I really love that. And she sat there and she was just talking to people, and I was like, I inspire to like talk to people like that, because she talks so confident. And I was like, I'm gonna keep talking even though it's uncomfortable, but I'm gonna keep talking so I can be able to, somebody turns me down for a job, no, I know how to talk. I can be in front of the camera. I know how to do audio. I know how to do video production.
There you go.
So yeah.
You kind of like finding your voice.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a beautiful experience.
Like as you're still finding it, what has that looked like? I know you spoke on it since kindergarten. Like, what are the ups and downs? Like, what has that journey looked like?
It's been a journey. Like, I would say the ups and downs of it was just like not speaking on hard stuff, especially when mental health is like a big factor nowadays. I remember because when COVID happened and everything was like shut down, like that was one of the worst. Because during COVID, like my dad, he got sick with it, and he was kind of like, we were on the verge of like, oh my gosh, like I don't think he's gonna come back home, like it's not looking good. And he was in the hospital for 60 plus days. He knows the exact number of that, but I didn't think I would really care about it that much, because I was always like, I'm not gonna talk about it, because if I talk about it, it's gonna like it, yeah, like I don't, I don't want to make things uncomfortable with people. I'm always a person that I'll shut down the bad stuff just to talk about more positive stuff. So like in laughing and making jokes and stuff, so I can be able to like forget. But it just like you have to kind of, you have to talk it out, with somebody. And if it's not somebody, talk it up with God. Amen. And that's what I kind of like figured out this summer. Amen. Like that situation, it kind of helped me grow to like, okay, I got to talk about my circumstances because somebody could relate to that.
Somebody can. Mm-hmm. And I think like, speaking on that, I have struggled with the same thing over the years, like kind of like bottling up, the bad feelings, just so, other people can feel good about, the circumstance or the situation. Mm-hmm. But I realized that only hurts me, that only hurts me because like everything done in the dark is going to come to light, and everything, you bottle up is soon eventually going to come to the surface. And when it does come to the surface, it's not going to look pretty. Exactly. It's not going to look pretty. Yeah, it's not going to look pretty. You got to filter that, through emotional intelligence and through healthy practices to get those emotions out and healthily, speak them to people. And when you're able to do that, you let go of these emotions. You allow yourself to feel them instead of, bottling them up. And that is a good practice of putting yourself first. Yes. Putting yourself first, because when you do bottle these up, all you're doing is hurting yourself. Exactly. You're making this person feel good. You're making, making their situation, their perspective, their perception on it feel better than what it is supposed to be. But that is only hurting yourself. And eventually that is going to hurt you, whether you feel it in the moment or not. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Yeah. Biggest challenge you have faced in your life, and how have you overcome it?
Honestly, it was, oh Lord, because I try to like things uncovering. So basically it was like the situation with the COVID situation. Okay. That was one of the things I can say about it, because it was just the fact of like seeing like somebody that walks around your house every day, you see them every day, like, and like I had to, because it was so uncertain, like you didn't get any doctor notes from like people in the hospital. Nurses couldn't tell you anything because they were dealing with other people in the hospital. You couldn't get anything from the doctors because the doctors are busy. So you're basically left with uncertainty. Is my dad on his deathbed or not? So I remember the nurse, I'll never forget this. She FaceTimed me, and like it was the first time I had to like see my dad with tubes all up his like face. And he was struggling to talk, but like it was just tubes everywhere. And it scared me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I imagine the pain that my mom is feeling looking at the phone right now, just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't even really like explain the death feeling that probably like, because my mom was like, seeing my mom going through it, like he lost his job. So it was just like a really rough time. And then I was like, maybe I should shut it down because I have to focus on senior year. I have to focus on paying dues. I have to focus on getting prom together, Oh, is my dad even gonna be here with me on prom? So it was really like a tough time, more than I could emphasize it, because years, even till recently, I just started to accept the feelings towards that situation. Like I always used to put it down, like it didn't happen, like no, it wasn't that severe, but it really was, so yeah. Yes. Oh, you said two. Lord. And it's funny because like I never think about the challenges until it's brought up. Like, I think about the good stuff in my life that's happening. Two.
If you can.
Two. I'm gonna have to come back to that. Yeah.
Okay. You good. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Mm-hmm. I know that's rough. Yeah. I know COVID has took a lot of lives from a lot of people, and a lot of happiness from a lot of people's lives. And it's really unfortunate. So thank you for sharing that on the podcast. I know you're What position do you hold on Threads? Or Threads
So
magazine?
for Verge, yeah, Verge,
Verge.
yeah, Verge,
Okay,
yeah. No, you're good, you're
sorry.
good. Verge magazine, I'm PR editor.
PR editor.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
okay. And what does that position like look like?
So basically, as a PR editor, the job is basically like holding campus events, so promoting more campaigns, getting more publicity towards Verge. I know last year it was just a newly founded organization and stuff, which kind of like it brought more people in, and with the showcase and the magazines, it brought more and more people from different communities in. So this year we're just trying to expand that, and that's my job. Just kind of like expanding it, getting more business owners from different states and try to collab with us.
That's kind of similar to the position you have with OBU.
Yes, it's this. This is a difference because like I was dealing with clothes, now I'm dealing with more stuff.
Right.
Yeah, like okay, more social media, more PR and stuff. So I feel like it comes naturally. So I really do love it. I love it.
Hey, that's what's up.
Shout out to Bird. Yeah.
But modeling as well. You have a lot of modeling experience, correct?
Yes.
And has that where has that come from? Like that passion of yours, like to be in front of the camera. You know?
That's a good question. So basically that all started off from like an influence from my mom. She was a model during like her college days, and I remember her just like I would see photos of her like deep down in the books and see like, wow, I really want to do that. Like
said, Mama got it.
Yeah, like she was tall, like 6
she
feet.
taller than you? 6 feet?
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
Mama a giant. She can style you.
I'm looking like wow, like
how tall is your dad?
He's 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, tall family. Yeah, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these pictures and I oh my god, I'm sorry.
I'm dead.
Like I saw these pictures and I was like, I want to do that. Whenever I have my mind set on something, I'm going to do it. So I would go out and my mom would be like, okay. One thing I can say about my mom too, she's been a big advocate for my life. If I want to do something, she would support any activity. I was so involved as a child, but she was like, okay, we're going to do it, but you have to practice. Like, you're not going to, you can't just be out there and just walk. Like, you got to practice. So she would teach me and she would get me involved. She worked at Wayne County Community College. So they had a fashion show. It was for the first time I think I actually modeled. And it was so like exhilarating, like just the drive and like, oh my gosh, like I get to actually, be involved with something and showcase everything. And that's when I did it in high school for our fashion show. And that's when, ever since then, I've just been doing it for people and stuff. But I usually do like, I try to stay in the business by using like my career too, to kind of do background stuff. So so I just remember being around, and even since I was a kid, actually, like I would just prance around the house and be like, yeah, like the baby of the family. So, so it kind of naturally got into that. Yeah.
Modeling, I've recently gotten into this. I mean, I was in ASA, the fashion show. I was in that fashion show. It was an amazing experience, bro, because I think, like I was telling you, to be in front of the camera for the first time, like that was exhilarating. Like you said, that was exhilarating for me and for my, self-worth, my self-growth, self-improvement, to see myself up on a stage in front of lights, in front of people. Because like I said, I was always the one who would showcase other people's talents, showcase other people's, showcase showcase their skills, and to be the one showcasing my skills and my talent, it was freeing for me. It was so freeing. And to walk upon that stage and even if I did mess up, I made a couple of slip ups. It was just the act of actually going out there.
Like you still get to go up and you still get to kind of like, be there and like even if you do mess up, it's still a fun time. Like as long as you stop thinking about the stresses of it and actually just have fun. Like think about like everything that you're doing with the other models, about the clothes that you're trying on. When you start putting that into that mindset,
and like just the preparation was extremely fun. Practicing, OVU practice.
See, that was fun. It was a little stressful because John, my mentor, hey John, so he went to Japan and he put like me and others in like charge or whatnot. And I was like, I'm gonna do this, but with that, it always comes growth. It always comes lessons learned.
Exactly.
Because you're going into a new environment and I never directed nothing in my life. So going and directing like 25 plus models, I'm like different personalities, but in the end it worked out so beautifully and I built so many new connections.
Yeah, I mean the turnout was amazing. Like I am not gonna lie, I kind of didn't believe in it. Like going to a couple of y'all practices, I didn't know what to expect, dog. Like
you know what?
Like I was mad scared, bro. Like y'all gonna go on the stage and do this? But y'all surprised.
Yes,
like everybody.
I'm telling you, like it was times where I would be on the phone with my mom and I would be like, Mom, like I've never done like directing before. Like I feel like this is going to like not be well. And she was sitting here, she said, trust it, trust the process, like trust that God is going to bring something beautiful out of this situation. It may be messy right now, but just trust that everything is going to work out. And in the end, I just felt like all of that stress was out of me, and it was
let it go, man.
Yeah, I your feelings are justified. It's okay though.
But y'all pulled it together. Like I will say that. It was an amazing show.
Yeah. And I really wish I could have went to the ASA show because I did not go there. I think I had something to do that.
It was the week of the wellness break. Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I like the little colors and stuff.
You feel? We coming back round 2 this year.
But how was like the process going through that? Like I know OVU had their stuff with like practices and stuff. Like how was it? Like was there any challenges?
Challenges. I think the biggest thing was just people dropping. And ASA it's a lot lesser scale in terms of like population.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of males. We had a lot of girls, but we didn't have a lot of guys. And even the guys, they were dropping. And like the guys that were there, we had to make sure that we did our thing because like there was only so many of us. So the many of us that was out there, we had to make sure we performed. Like we had to make sure we did our thing. And they were, strict on us about that at each practice. Like y'all are the only guys in this show. You have to perform. You have to outperform your peers. Like that is what had to be done. And we took the challenge and we did it. I mean, we went up on that stage, did our thing, and like it was a show. It was an amazing show. And I want to do it again this year because it was a great experience, an amazing experience.
Yes, now we have for ASA and OVU is going up. Mentor part of it. Y'all join OVU.
Yes.
Y'all tap in. Y'all doing good.
Yeah, Alayna, you were talking about preparation for that show. When John had went to study abroad in Japan, you kind of had a lot on your plate, and I think a lot of people could see. A lot of people could see, like it was a lot for you. But how you said you were, it was a lot of venting out to God, releasing it into His hands. Like, how did that process look for you? Like in detail.
Wow. It's a lot of things that I choose to go to God about before people. And that was one of those things.
Mm.
I just like I kept getting ears from not only peers but like family, like saying what I have to do and stuff. And I understand that's what I have to do, but it was just the fact of taking it all in and doing it. It's the difference between saying it and doing it. Right. Saying that you're going to direct an amount of people, beautiful personalities. Right. Just different personalities though coming into OBU. Like you can say that okay, I'm a director, but it's not really said and done until the end when you've actually done it. So I think that was a harder process of trying to get into my mind, like I'm actually directing this amount of people. And the amount of like now I'm teaming up with it. I wasn't by myself though. I was with two other people that were helping me, and the help was like so much needed. And I really do appreciate those others, because it would be friends that would be like, no, you're gonna do good, you're gonna do great. Like just they would help me out, take clothes in there from vendors when vendors weren't available. Like no, like we have different other options. So I just thank the people that actually helped me and stuff. And just knowing, like, not only that, but taking accountability for like the things that you can do better. It's your first time does not mean that you did a perfect job. Like you have yes, you like you can give a clap up, don't let that ego go ahead of you. Like you have to literally look at, okay, what can I do better for the next time? So more people can participate, more people can do this, or more people can be like, wow, I would do this again, so yeah, that's a very great place to be. And I've noticed like I know I'm sometimes in a lot of cases of my life I'm a perfectionist, and when I don't reach that level that I set for myself, I'm so hard on myself. And like my friends, my family, they know like whenever they underperform, like I'm hard on them too. But if I'm hard on you, like just imagine how hard I am on myself. Like I'm 10 times harder on myself when I mess up. And like I've realized I need to have grace in that aspect, because you're speaking on this modeling experience, being a director. Like you had never done that before. You had never done that before. And you can't expect yourself to be perfect. You can't expect yourself to know how to handle all these different personalities, all these people on all these different walks of life. And like I was talking about in the last episode, like the math makes sense. You shouldn't know how to do this. You really shouldn't. Life, if you add up your life experience, the sum of your life experiences, you shouldn't know how to do this. It just takes strength and courage to realize that and say that I don't know how to do this, but I want to learn how to do this. I want to learn, and I'm going, like you said, ask for help, look to resources, look to connections. Exactly. And I feel like, and I feel the part when you talk about being hard on yourself, that's a major problem that I have with me. Like, even since I was a little kid, I would be like, I'm doing dance, I'm doing sports. I'm like, I want to do better, but what is prohibiting me from that? Like, and I'm sitting here like, your mind sometimes becomes like your biggest enemy. Like you're sitting there thinking, when you're overthinking and stuff, like when it overconsumes you, that's when you know that you have to do something different. Like you can't just like you can want to do better, but you can't go to the point where now you're deteriorating yourself and your mental health is going down, and now you have bigger issues to deal with. So I think that was kind of like the more point where I was like, okay, you can't you can't do that to yourself. Like you need to get up, you need to go on a walk or run, do something, but you can't do that, and I do that, like my parents, they get it from me all the time. Just like, y'all need to do this, please do this. Like if I have this package, like you need to get this to my ASAP. But when sometimes you have to lose control in order to gain. That's real. Yeah. Sometimes like you just have to let go and let God. You just gotta let. And that's something. Give it to him. This summer, I've learned that like you wonder why I'm like, people have always asked like, why are you always going home every day? I know that's the big question. Like, why does she keep going home every weekend? Like, I know that's the elephant in the room. I'm telling you, like when I went home and for the first time, like in June to like since I was in summer, I was like, I'm not in the best space right now due to some whatever stuff. And
Right.
basically I went to church
Mhm.
and after that I continuously went to church. I'm not a
Mm.
person that does online,
Right.
but I continuously went to church this summer,
Okay.
like every
Okay.
week. And it made such a difference. I felt like it was so needed, and I just continuously kept going back because I just felt as if, it just reminded me of it like that, when you feel like you're not in control of your life, like I literally felt like I wasn't in control of my life, but going there, it felt like I had something to give my life to in order for my life to be okay. Like I gave it to God. I gave all my problems to God. I prayed about it. I cried it out. I did everything.
Yeah.
And in the end, like when you feel like you don't have anybody to vent to about those hard problems and hard, thinking that you're doing on yourself.
God care.
Yes, like when you feel like people don't understand you, when you feel
God
like,
understands.
yes, when you feel like people are not listening to you or
Right.
people are just gonna like dismiss you,
Yeah.
when you give it to God and you're praying about it over and being like obedient, like it always comes
It
back.
always comes together.
Exactly.
That's a big lesson I've learned this summer. Like I have to let I've I've found myself in such a tight corner where I couldn't do anything but give it to him, because if I tried to do it myself, all I was going to do was hurt myself more. All I was going to do is destroy myself more and break myself down even more. And so he put me in that corner to where I had no other choice. And when I did, like, it was hard at first because, it's not an immediate blessing. Like life don't automatically get better. Faith without works is dead. I had to make that a practice. I had to continue doing it. And when I did, I saw the other side. I saw the light. And no matter how hard it was, and it was hard. It was hard. Like you said, it was some crying nights, bro. It was some crying nights, yelling out, like anger, grieving. But I saw that light for the first time in so long, and I wasn't gonna let go of it. Like I was not gonna let go of it for nothing. And so I continued to chase it no matter what was chasing me, no matter what was pursuing me. I continued to go after it. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, no matter how uncomfortable it get, no matter how hard it may get, no matter how dark it may get. Like I know that this side of life that I'm on right now is so much better than where I was. So I can't go back no matter how many times I turn back. I can't go back. And yeah, that's the summer I've had. And it seems like, you've done a lot of growth this summer as well. And not just, spiritually, but mentally, emotionally. Like you said, you're speaking out your feelings a lot more, and not just to people, but to God. And that's the biggest thing, because like you said, when we feel like people don't care, he do care. And he is always a listening ear. When you feel like nobody else is listening, like nobody want to listen to you, God always do. He always do.
I feel like we sometimes like we live in our testimony without even knowing it, to be honest.
That's a good one.
Yeah, like literally this, oh my gosh, like it was like ups when I was first going, but like when I kind of like now, like I'm a person where like if something is like a challenge is happening, right? Like something unexpected, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't give emotions like there, like at that time. It may come months, weeks and stuff, like then
yeah,
I'll
I'm
feel
kind of the
it.
same.
Yeah, it may be years or something. It's bad. It's so
Years is
bad. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no.
Years is insane. Like, yeah, like years is insane. Like, probably from this little interview, people will know. Like, it'll take years for me to actually show like some type of emotion towards something. Unfortunately, but with this, like, I was feeling so like I didn't have a smile on my face when I went to one of like when because my mom she would just say get up for church, come on go with me, right?
Right.
So I'm going and I don't have a smile on my face. I'm just like I'm just overthinking, right? When I'm overthinking, you will not get a smile out of me. Like I'm thinking
I'm
hard
already knowing.
and I'm thinking in advance about things. And I remember some lady came up to me in church. She was like, nobody like deserves to not see you smile. She
That's
said,
real.
you in church, you have something grateful to be happy about. You woke up today when people couldn't. When you have a job to go to, you have transportation to go back and forth to go anywhere. You have something to smile about. And that really like woke me up. That's when I officially was like, okay, like it's time for me to stop playing games and actually like live like, I have faith that God is going to work out. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the definition of it. Yeah.
That's real. That's real. Yeah. I know. Like that's huge. That's really huge to be able to count your blessings instead of the like see the positives instead of the negatives, because like the devil, I've noticed he does his best work in isolation. Like when he has you isolated, or when he feels like, when you feel like you have nobody to go to, like that's when he's won. That's when, he's in your head. That's when these overthinking, the worry starts to recur. And when he has you, lost like that in that isolated spot, in those spots, I've noticed that the best thing I can do is pray. And the best thing I can do is go to him. Like you can't just praise him. You can't just live happy and, be joyful, have all these fruits of the spirit when life is going good, when you at the top of the mountain. Like you have to have that same energy when you at the bottom, when you getting ready to climb. And I know that that's so hard to have, but that is what gets you up the mountain. That is the reason why you climbing. That is like you have to find worth in the blessing and not the blesser. Find it in, what he's doing for you. And that is a great thing. That is a great thing. But we can't just praise him when we at the top. Like we can't just do that. We can't.
I like what you said about isolation because it like really opened me up to what I was thinking like recently. I was like, there are like I used to think it was pros to isolation. I was that's bad. Like saying like, oh my gosh, I just want to be when stuff is overcrowding me, I'm just like, leave me alone. Like I gotta be
kind of like disassociate.
Yeah, I do that. Just disassociating, like just leave me alone. Like I just want to detach and dissociate from this situation. Just but I realized that it's sometimes God will isolate you for other reasons, but it's cons sometimes to isolation. See, sometimes God, I figured it out. Sometimes He'll isolate you because you just need it's something in your life that's not needed.
Right.
It's something in your life that's not needed for your growth. So it's your job, like you have to be the one to be able to be strong enough to remove that out your life and let God work on you. A con to that is that the enemy will work on you harder when you are isolated, and that when he does that, it'll go to, oh, I hate people. Exactly. And because that comes from
and then your heart starts changing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the most dangerous thing.
One of my biggest fears I've had over my life is I never want my heart to change. For the love that I always give to people, for the things that not only the things I do for people, but the love that I have for people around me. I never want that to change because of a circumstance that happened that didn't go planned.
Right.
I never want that to happen because I feel like God puts experiences and like lessons, even if we got to learn it over and over again. He does it because we need to continue to learn to go to the next step. So that's how I feel.
That's real. That's
Mhm.
real. Like, me, I know I've like the lesson will it will continue to teach you over and over again until you get it. And it's gonna like I realize it's gonna continue to break you down until you decide that enough is enough and gain the strength to get up and leave.
Exactly.
And you can't just like it's so hard like when you're broken down, but you can't just sit in that because if you sit in that, like I know, like I said, it's so hard to get out of that, but what is it? The strength of getting out of that will mean so much more than if you were to go through that pain again and again. To put yourself through that, like that's the worst thing you could ever imagine. And changing your heart, that's something, I've told my family ever since I was young because I've always been this, ball of joy for everyone around me. And I've carried that light since as long as I can remember. But we do know, we both know this is a cruel and evil world, and we got some cruel and evil people. And it's a sad reality to come to, but we all know that. There are evil spirits in this world that will do nothing but drain you and then leave your life and blame you.
That's when oh my gosh, I love that you're talking about this. Like, especially the part when you said like leaving and stuff, because if you don't leave, people gonna start looking at you like, oh, what,
Right.
like, what? Why are you not leaving? Like, are you not seeing what we are seeing? You not
like,
seeing
come on. You was not blind.
Thank you. And the part about evil spirits is so real because I've dealt with that all my life. All my mom always taught me is just smile no matter what. Like smile, just smile because smile.
The muscles in your cheeks.
Exactly, because it's gonna attract all people, good and bad. But you have to really keep the smile on your face because and when you sad and unhappy and stuff like that. Like all my life, I've dealt with kind of like I've always been more of like a jolly person. I've been sad, but most of the time, I'm always gonna find a solution, make something more better than than it is. And oh my gosh, dealing with those evil spirits is
it do nothing but break you down.
Woo, and literally, it comes with you. Not only have to be jolly, you have to. What is it? I want to say, guard your heart.
Yeah,
guard your heart always, because all people be out here. No, like not all people are here for genuineness. Not all people are here to have the good in you.
And I say, like, the biggest thing with that comes trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Because if you do follow God, you truly have God, and you truly are this ball of joy, this light for everyone around you, then you can't ignore what your mind says, you can't ignore what your heart says, you can't ignore what your spirit says about this person. No matter what they say, no matter how they act towards you, you can't ignore how you feel for them. Like we said, you can't put yourself last. You can't. You have to put yourself first.
I'm such an advocate. Like all my friends know that I'm an advocate of like putting yourself first, making sure you right with God, of course, obviously, but you putting yourself first in situations because these people will toss you and throw you around like a rag doll. And I keep like I'm thinking so real. Like these people will toss you around and throw you around like nothing, and you have to really be sure within yourself. That's why I advise people like you be before you get into any relationship or any like type of friendship that this person is gonna like try to take possession over you or try to like now y'all locked in. So you have to make compromises and you have to be able to like you may not like this but you have to be able to like agree on something in order for the relationship to work. But in order to do that you have to know yourself, you have to know your boundaries, and have to know your limits, because I literally like why would you continue to have a friendship or relationship with somebody when your boundaries are not being respected? So you're staying in a relationship where it's not being respected, and now you're forced to do something because I don't know about them. I ain't going for that.
I ain't going for it.
I
Like,
ain't
no.
going for it. Everybody know I don't go for that.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Like, I'm not sacrificing myself. I'm in college. I'm still getting myself together.
Cause we what, 20 years old, bro? Like I got so much more growing to do. Come on.
I got class.
Hey, I got 2 more years of this.
Man, I ain't even look. Hey, I see if I don't have to. I always look at it like this: if I don't got to spend no extra money on somebody, I can put it towards my shoes.
Amen. Hey.
Cause absolutely not. Not in college. No.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I've seen it, like not only seen it, but I've experienced it. So many evil spirits that do nothing but, take your joy and take so much from you, and then, go ghost. They leave you. They ghost. And like that is the type of stuff I was just talking about in the last episode that makes that makes you want to isolate, that makes you want to go into your shell. And like that's when you get that I don't give a F mentality, and you like F the world. You like, I mean, you want to stay inside, you want to stay in your dorm, like you don't want to talk to nobody because you have this fear that everybody's going to treat you this way. Everybody, like no matter how you express your emotions, no matter how you open up, you're going to be taken advantage of. And that disbelief that you have in your heart because of this experience is so damaging to your health, so damaging to your emotional, mental, spiritual health. And yeah, it's much easier said than done, but you have to get back up. Like you have to find yourself again, your heart again, because once you do, you realize, it's all ups and downs. It's all a journey of losing yourself to find yourself, of losing your worth to find your worth. And once you get it back, like you realize just how higher up you stand right now, like just how higher up you stand than where you just was. And once you get that strength back, like I was just saying, once you see that light, you can't let go. As much as you want to, you can't let go. Like your eyes is tunnel vision on this thing, no matter how uncomfortable it get. Like once you get back up, get your strength, get your spirit back, like I promise you.
You can never forget it. It's so much love in it too. Like, I never experienced that much love.
Because my thing also is I don't want to give that person the power. I don't want to give them as much power as they already have over me. And if I allow them to change my heart, to change my character, my personality, that just means how powerful they were to my life. God is way more powerful. And so when I come to him about it, he's going to make sure my heart stays the same. He's going to make sure my heart reveals what he says about me and not what, this experience says about me.
Literally, I refuse.
Yeah, because I can't. Bro.
Yeah, I refuse. Like when I get older, I realize how much of a power of your presence is. Like you cannot just be everywhere. You can't just be like with anybody.
Right.
Once you start walking, like wow, like with faith and stuff like that. Like once you're like
God will make you so picky about who you surround yourself with.
And I've been so picky about like just the type of people that I am surrounding myself with, because I want to be able to make sure that I have the right people around me, but not only that I'm the right person to people too.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's the thing.
Yeah,
people
that's a
don't
good
know.
one.
All right, you gotta
because I may not be the right person for you in your life. Like just because we're all a part of the body of Christ doesn't mean I'm meant to be in your life.
If you you want to let me go, just say it. Like I am okay. I will be okay in the end. I promise. I'm all for like, and I've always said this. Like letting go is the biggest form of intimacy. Cause
that's a good one.
like, oh my goodness, the times, yeah, ooh, like it's been so many situations where I've just had to let go of control. There's nothing more else I can do. Letting go, because I feel like it's such a cliche statement, but time will always reveal. Time will always reveal. So letting go of somebody, it's not that I got beef with you.
Exactly.
It's not that I have a problem with you. It's just the fact that we're on separate journeys right now. And I don't think that right now is the best space for us to be conversating with each other. Maybe something changed, God willing, in the future, but right now I know that I need to move forward and I need to continue on, doing whatever I need to do.
Right.
And I feel like you should too.
And that, like, I think forgiveness is a big part of that, because that's the first step. Like, once I'm able to forgive you for everything you have done, like all these wrongdoings, I'm able to move forward with grace and peace. Like, I don't see you as this person that hurt me anymore. Like, I see you as a person who is struggling with themselves. And you have, like I was saying in the last episode, how people treat you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves, not about how they feel about you. And when you realize that, you feel so much more free, because you realize it's not anything you did. It's not anything you did. Like, if you're, like I said, if you're truly this light, like this ball of joy, this God driven, woman or man, then your intentions were truly pure from the beginning to the end. And if that is true, then you didn't do anything wrong.
Thank you. I always say, if you had like pure intentions for something and all of a sudden something just happened, it was never your loss.
Exactly.
Because you never had ill intentions towards it. You never faked anything. You kept it real. You kept everything pure. So it's nothing more else to, and I feel like that comes with a lot of forgiveness. I used to be a person.
Forgiveness it's something I've just recently learned.
Exactly.
No, not something I've recently learned. I think my problem was I would always forgive people, but I was always forget to. And I think forgetting was the part that made me repeat these cycles. And like we said, God will teach you the same lesson again and again until you get it. And because I was forgetting, also forgiving, I was repeating the same mistakes over and over again without setting boundaries, without putting myself first, without seeing my full worth. And once I learned from these experiences, instead of just throwing them to the side as, trash, as I thought they were, I was able to take that next step and grow and heal myself.
I really related to what you said about forgiveness, but forgetting, because I would do that a lot. Like, I would have, okay, I'm just so focused on like getting this person back, but it's like now I'm going, why is this person treating me 10 times worse than they did when we first started doing this? And I'm sitting there like, what do I have to do? And the thing that you have to do, like, you have to let go. Yourself. Yeah, you have to love yourself. It's easier said than done when you're saying like boundaries that you're setting and you're not acting on it. It's just words. Like, it's not meaning towards it. Real. Yeah, it's not meaning towards it. If you're not acting on what you believe, if you believe Barbie real, like, shoot, you better act on it. No, you better dress up like a damn Barbie. Come on, like, people gonna look at you crazy if you're not proving that Barbie real. So that's kind of like, why are you, you need to really act on boundaries and stuff, because that's when people unfortunately start to take advantage. And it just, and now your heart is hardening, and now you're stuck in a place where like, wow, I thought I was working on healing and forgiving, but now I'm stuck back at square one. So that was such, like, I feel like everybody's coming to that realization about forgiveness, and just like saying, you need to, it's literally, I've seen more people on TikTok just like spitting knowledge. Right.
Hey, TikTok be talking sometimes.
Yeah, like, I'm not,
especially about my situation. I swear they be listening, bro. Cause what? Like I wake up in the morning to something I was just praying about.
Thank you.
Like, come on.
And not only that, but I see more and more women on TikTok really being an advocate more for themselves than like prioritizing themselves. No, not prioritizing themselves, but like prioritizing a man and putting them on a pedestal before themselves. Like I've seen such a big change, and I'm so happy about that because people like I don't know what changed in the air. Now, like women I see are now being such a big influence for other women who may be struggling in those circumstances. And I look at it like, wow, like that's beautiful to me, to be honest.
Especially our Black women.
Thank you. Like
it's amazing.
Black men and women, like it can go both ways. Like I feel like people don't talk about they talk about women, but they don't talk about how Black men can be abused too in these like relationships and stuff, and how like verbal and emotional.
I think that lack of a safe space, or that lack of, men being able to speak on that, or just people in general being able to speak on that, is the reason a lot of these Black men feel so secluded, isolated, and feel like they can't express their feelings. Like we was just talking about in the last episode, no matter how much society says men should, we still don't feel socially accepted that we can sometimes, just because of the ways that we have opened up and have been hurt. We have opened up and had these insecurities turned against on us, and that leaves a scar that leaves a scar that lasts years, and it takes time to heal from that. Like I said earlier, you have to realize, this experience is a part of you, and that scar is a part of you. And say, I know I shouldn't be able to be vulnerable right now because of what I've been through, but I want to learn how to be vulnerable again. I want to learn how to express my feelings healthily again.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna keep it real. I used to be one of them girls to be like, why are you like arguing with me? I'm about to get the last word in. So I'm standing there like I'm dead. You're clapping back, and it's like I'm gonna keep it so real with y'all. Like I'm not gonna fake here and say like, yeah, like I've been like, no, like it was a time where I was like, okay, like you need to chill out, like you have to say some real hurtful stuff. But I came to the realization, it's just like sometimes Black men just need somebody to listen. Sometimes you just need to calm down and just speak like with intention. You need to calm down a little bit, take a break, come back when you're ready, and speak with intention. There's so much power in the tongue, and that's what I failed to realize in the past. It's like now I'm hurting people because I'm hurt, because I'm not realizing the power that I have in my tongue when I'm speaking words, to a relationship, when I'm speaking words to a friendship. I'm not realizing that my words actually have impact on people. So changing that has been like beautiful to see too. Just like this whole year, I think the whole meeting has just been like a beautiful journey. Like it
seems like you've done a lot of growth and self-reflection, especially.
It comes to a point of like you will get so like now you're by yourself, you can see your own demons.
I know. Hey, that's real. That's real.
Like you can see your own demons,
like you're really faced with.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like you can see the face right now.
Yes, you come to a point in your life where okay, now you don't have your friends and stuff to hang on to. Now you're forced to deal with your problems like head on yourself, and it forces you to take accountability for the things that you've probably done in the past or the things you haven't healed on. So that's how I feel.
That's real. You say you got in a place where you had to face your demons.
It's so disgusting. Like seeing, like I feel like not a lot of people admit that. Like people love to. When I talk to people, it's like they say, "Oh, this person did this to me. Oh, this person did that to me. This person did this, that, the third." But I get that. Like, you're hurt, but like, can we like, why do you keep attracting these people?
Come on. It's that victim mentality.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it's everyone. Like we can't just say women. It's a lot of the men too out here that are playing the victim. But you have to realize, you gave that love out. You stayed. You stayed when these red flags were there. You stayed when they gave you the scissors to cut it loose. You still stayed. Like, come on. Like, you got at some point you got to take accountability.
Thank you.
And obviously, like, there are certain scenarios or certain parts of the situation where you can play the victim. Like, there's no reason someone should treat you that way. But there's two sides of every problem, just like there's two sides of every equation. There's someone giving out the behavior, and there's someone tolerating or supporting the behavior. You know what I mean? Like, there's two sides of it, and only growth can only be met when both sides of those take accountability.
Exactly.
For both sides.
I feel like everybody plays a part. And you have to recognize which part you do play. And that goes with, I started, since I'm a writer, why wouldn't you journal? Right. Well, now, so I'm sitting here writing down. I'm like, in the middle of writing, I'm like, I'm the problem. Sat there and stopped writing. I'm like, why did I write this? I'm the problem.
That's mad self-reflection.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, wow. Like, so I called that person. I said, I apologize. Like, I truly do apologize because I figure
that's
out.
Accountability right there.
Yes,
that's respect.
Thank you. Like, I truly do. Like, literally, it was a friend from years ago. I was like, I apologize for like what I did, because now that I'm like writing, like I'll write down anything that I feel is on my heart that I need to get out. Yeah. And I'm sitting here writing it down. I'm like, no, like that wasn't right. That wasn't right. And I feel like I want people to like more so take more accountability.
Me too.
That's one thing. Like, if I ever get into like in a relationship, that's the number one thing.
I think that is for me too.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking about in the last episode, I can't surround myself with people who can't. Like, that is the biggest thing, not just for relationships, friendships, anyone, my family. If my family can't take accountability, I mean, I have to, set those boundaries.
Exactly.
I have to.
Like, I feel like there's no friendship, there's no relationship without it. It's just gonna fall through.
Right.
I've been in so many where it's like, you like, did you do this? You did this? Like, imposter. Like, what are we doing? Okay, like again, I'm a person that likes solutions. What is the solution? Like, what can I do? What can you do?
Right.
And if you don't want to do the work, then hey, it's okay. It's fine. I'll just
remove myself.
That's I feel like people make it more complicated.
It's not.
It's just that.
The biggest barriers are the one we create in our mind.
Thank you. Exactly.
But I wanted to touch on something you were saying. Just the place you got to where you were writing down all your feelings, and you got to that point where you realized you were the problem, and you voiced that to that person. I think sometimes the biggest red flag for a lot of people is realizing that you aren't one yourself. And we have so many, like I said, not just women, men as well, playing the victim and looking at all of their past relationships as if they always were the problem. Like, it can't always be that. Like, come on, like it can't always be like niggas ain't nothing. Like, it can't always be that. If we being real,
like, cause I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna keep it real again. I used to be one of them girls that was like, these niggas ain't fine. I'm sitting here like, this stuff keep happening over and over again. And I'm like, what? Like,
you allowing it to happen.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I doing? You're not putting your boundaries. That was the thing. Okay, you say boundaries, but you're not enforcing it. Like, when some people know when people can do it consciously or unconsciously. That's what I figured out. Like, either way, it still don't make it more right, you know? So when they do that, now you're like, wow, like, so what was all that big stuff you was talking about, you know? If the next
Yeah,
dude do this, like, you know, I'm a
exactly.
slash they
And like
slash.
me, I've definitely noticed as of recently, as of my friends, my peers, the people close to me holding me accountable, I realized that, in terms of talking, being the biggest red flag in your life, that is the biggest red flag in my life because I had all these high standards. I would talk such a big game about, everyone that I wanted to surround myself with and everyone I wanted in my life, but the people in my life didn't reflect that necessarily. And so I took that accountability and realized that what I want in my life matters most. And I have to put myself first. And if I don't set those boundaries to protect my peace and to protect the gifts that God gave me over these 20 years, then nobody else is going to do that for me. And so that's the season that I'm in, learning how to protect myself, protect these gifts, protect, everything that I have been gifted. And it's it was found at a very low point in my life, to the point where I had a lot of people around me had to help me build myself back up. But as I did, I took accountability for that and realized that if I think people don't realize, if your standards, if you don't set strong on your standards, they become goals. Like you trying to fit this person into a box that they aren't meant to fit in.
And you end up breaking them.
Exactly.
You end up hurting them.
I know.
And it's sad to see. That's why I always say heal yourself before, or check yourself before just think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's like things can hurt certain people and you don't even really realize it because you're acting out of ego. You're not even really realizing like, wow, like I really hurt this person, And it's been times in my life where I've known for a fact that people hurt me, but I had to like take in like, okay, I've always, one thing I have been self-aware about is I'm not going to, if I'm angry or if I'm hurt about a situation, I'm not going to sit here and hang out with my friends and putting that hurt and putting all of those problems on them. Yeah, I've always like, that's why I say self-isolation. It's tricky, but it's I'll just have to, I'm gonna stay in tonight. I'm not gonna hang out today. I'm gonna stay in tonight because I know that my energy, my vibe ain't vibing right now,
Vibe.
And so, I just had to sit down, like, okay, you need to check yourself. You need to like do something in order to get yourself right.
And I respect that because I know a lot of people in my life that don't have that. And they will just allow these wounds to bleed on other people in their life. And, it's unfair to them because they've done nothing. All they done was support you from beginning to end. All they done was be there for you. But yet you allow these wounds that they haven't inflicted to hurt them. And it's unfair. So I do commend you on that. Like that's a great place to be.
Because I feel like when like men, they like act more logically, but I've noticed like with women, like we tend to act more emotionally, right? So I'm like, okay, like I could change the game. Like I can't just like, when I act emotionally, like I've realized when women, like as women, when we act emotionally, that's when stuff starts going bad. That's when like, Negro, I'm outside your door. Like it's like, ooh, like we don't ever want it to get to that point.
Exactly.
So that's when you kind of just is like, okay, I feel like more women should be like, hey, like let's just take some time to ourselves. Like I know I got
That's
hurt.
real.
I got hurt. Like literally in the beginning of stages of like a situation, I'll be like, why am I getting hurt? Why? Like why? It was never, and then I like, as I started like praying, it's like it wasn't about why. It's just about like, the situation happened. You have no control of it. So it's like, don't stop asking why. Just live in, with your regular routine of what makes you feel better. Sometimes you don't know what whatever happens, happened. Like you
Yeah.
may get it revealed years later. You can only focus on yourself right now and just what you can do for yourself.
Mm, that's real. Heal yourself first. Heal yourself
That
first.
doesn't say be single and be like isolating yourself. You can still
Yeah.
be open to opportunities.
Tight.
I feel like people forget that.
They do. They do. And we were talking about isolation. And isolation is tricky because, like I was saying earlier, the devil does his best work in isolation. But God will also sometimes call you into isolation, like for a season to, change you, to grow you. And that comes in the most unexpected way. But there are also times when isolation is healthy, like you said, when you need to filter this anger or filter this grief process, filter these emotions healthily. You feel like you can't do that around certain people, and so that is why you isolate. And I've noticed since I've been to college, like finding the middle line in between that has been so hard for me. Like knowing when to isolate and knowing when not to, because if you isolate yourself in the wrong moment, like that can be disastrous for your mental health.
Bad. Because you get to a point where I've never been through this, but I've had like other people tell me about like them just isolating themselves.
Yeah.
Or I've had more friends actually like go on like more drinking and stuff like that, or more like other stuff. Like I've been a victim to that, more substances and stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, when you sober up,
that joke go hit you.
Sober up, you have no choice but to face again those demons with yourself. Like you can do all the surface stuff that you think is going to heal you for just a little bit, but until you take care of that problem long term, it's going to keep coming, again,
the lesson gonna
continue to keep
until you learn your lesson.
Until you learn to face those demons and literally like get down and be like, hey, look, what do you need to change?
Right.
Here, because I remember I told my mom, I was like, Mama, like, it was like, what was it? It was like sometime years back. I was like, Mom, like these friends just ain't giving.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. Like she asking me, like, okay, what did they do? I told her, she was like, girl, like, what are you doing? I said, what?
You said that's not the response you expect.
I feel like as people, we really want people to be like,
I know, like kind of be that shoulder to cry on, or like emotional
support. They want somebody that's going to be like, oh, like, so like you were right, yes, that yes man. But I feel like people need that big person. Be like, look,
you need
that. Like,
you need that.
You can't.
You need to surround yourself with people like that.
Because if you keep going with yes man, you're just going to continue just living weird, like in a very high ego phase. Like nothing really phases me because I know I'm not in the wrong most of the time. I've seen grown adults in my family like have that mindset where like everything I say is right and nothing, what you're saying is wrong. And it's like until you're open on getting criticism from other people, like healthy criticism, like you won't continue to grow. Mature does not come with age.
It doesn't.
People common sense ain't come.
Like we got a bunch of grown
children. Common sense ain't common. Like it's not. It's that's a good catchphrase. I'm about to put that in my
trademark that, bro.
Not common. Well, have you been through those experiences where
like what?
Like people, like grown people, like when you're talking to somebody, you're just like, common sense.
Yeah, I got some. Like I've known a couple people that it's hard because I think you grow up and realize that people weren't raised the same as you.
Yeah.
People weren't raised with, the same values as you. And when you see that for yourself, like it's such like a hit in the face. Because like in school, especially, I think we see a lot of faces that people put on. But once you go out into this real world, like you see it's a lot of, like we were saying, evil spirits and a lot of like very ugly people, not just on the outside, on the inside, like very ugly people that weren't raised, with the same values that you were. And when you see, these very emotionally immature people, you see their true self come out instead of that face that they've been putting on. Like that is such a hit to your face because you was just rocking with me an hour ago. We was just cool. Like we was just chopping it up in the conference room.
It changed that quick.
Yeah. Like we was just chopping it. We was at lunch.
Changed up in an hour. Thought it'd be some more.
No.
Not even like a year.
No,
Now?
bro.
Dang, that's a little bit.
Like they out here gossiping to coworkers and like telling people that I did stuff I never even did. It's
that ain't right. See, that's why. Because that thing about talking stuff. Yeah.
It don't come back.
Yeah, it do for sure.
Because
because it's like, again, I've always like, now I'm like the power of tongue, like, hey, shut up. But I've never felt comfortable like talking, like just having like an evil spirit, like when I'm first meeting people, like gossiping and stuff like that. Like that's ugly. Like
gossiping is one of the biggest turnoffs for me. Not just in like intimate relationships, friendships, like people I surround myself with. Because like I was saying earlier, how you treat other people is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. And if you, bringing these people down who have done nothing to you, like they just out here living their life, what that say about you?
Like, be for real. No, but I literally, like, it would be like, what is it? Like, I would have like friends and stuff, and I was just like, it was, oh my gosh, I've had my run-ins with friendships, just like people that kind of like, why are you doing this? Let me tell you a story. Like, hopefully this girl, let me tell you, let me hope this girl don't hear this podcast. We was here for my friend's birthday in high school, and we were like walking around downtown Detroit. Sitting here, my friend wanted to do it for some odd reason. I don't know. But we're doing it, whatever. We go to the 7-Eleven, right? We go to the 7-Eleven. This is why I say check the company that you keep around you.
Hey.
I did not know these girls. These girls were her cousins. And I'm like trying to meet everybody and say, hey, what's up? What's good? We clicking, like everything going good. We get into the 7-Eleven. What? How the stuff?
Run out? They still?
I'm sitting here like, this is why I say keep literally check the company that you keep around.
Yeah, bro.
Like I would have never thought that these girls was going to steal something out of the 7-Eleven. Now I'm looking dumb. Store owner looking at me. I'm like, he like, you know these girls?
And now you put in the middle of all of this.
You're like looking at me. Like, I'm trying to get my 7-Eleven slushy, and it was right when I was about to put my card. So I say,
no, that's sick.
Check the company. I have a story for everything. Let's just check check the company that you keep around you, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, why would you do that? She was like, girl, it's just fun. I'm like, nah, like we gotta separate. Like
I ain't lying.
Yes, like to this day, like the girl was still trying to keep in contact with me, and I'm like, I can't. Like, you
playing with your life.
You gotta
fun.
check.
Go ahead and do that just without me.
You gotta check the company, because these people will get you caught up quick.
Yeah.
I told my mom to pick me up ASAP.
You got some stories, bro. You got some stories.
Absolutely not. Be for real, like you can get
From 7-Eleven, though? Like, what is we doing?
Yeah, you got a small slushie. Get a large.
And you know the owners, they just be saying go. Like, if you want to get a slushie for free, half the time they be like,
usually they give it out for free. You know you broke when you steal from somebody.
That's insane.
You ain't got no money up in your wallet and you're stealing from 7-Eleven. Get a grip.
Get a grip on reality, bro.
That's my life experience. I could write a book for sure.
You could, for sure.
I'm sorry.
You could, but yeah, it's no, that was real funny. I was real funny.
The company that you like, come on, like you know you wrong. It comes to a point in your life where you know you wrong. Like, oh, it's just I can say some stories about some friends. I literally like because I'm always open to like meeting new people. I'm always like, oh, like I don't care about what circumstance you're in. I just want you as a friend. Okay. Right. I want to meet you. My mom was like, you can't always do that, Alayna. Like sometimes these people gonna bite you.
As you grow up, you realize certain people they not for you. They're not for you.
And my mom was like as a little girl, she was like, you can't do that. Like some of these kids, they a little rough.
Yeah, like we were saying, like they not raised the same way we is. Like,
cause I remember like my mom and dad always taught me like respect. Like you have to be able to respect people. Like always say please and stuff like that. Just raising me with manners and stuff like that. So going into like these schools, I was in more of a urban area. Okay. Like people usually think like, oh, like you must have went to a white school. No, like I went to like, more predominantly black areas and stuff. And you get your run-ins with people like from both areas, but now you dealing with your own kind and you want to be gracious.
Yeah, like just you and me talking about this past year and the growth or the experiences we've both been through, and seeing life for what it is over these 20 years, as we both just had our birthday. Tia. So that's been like, I think it's freeing because you have all these listeners as well who are, a lot of them are college students who are most likely going through the same thing. Like college is this new world with all these new people, all these new personalities, especially coming straight out of high school. And you see these personalities, it's very fun, it's very lively. And when you see so many, such a new experience, I think the first thing you want to do is jump right in. And if you jump blindly, it can be very dangerous because, as we keep saying, a lot of these people aren't for you. And as much as you want them to have good intentions as you do, a lot of these people don't. A lot of these people don't. And it's like, for both of us, it takes going through that to realize that, exactly. Like as much as we can tell you, I don't think you will truly understand it until you experience it. Exactly. And you get back up from that and, get your heart back, get your spirit back, and hopefully don't allow your heart to change based on the experience.
Man, you spoke some real words about that. In college, I feel like you're just forced around people like from like just your age group. You never really understand the true spirit of that person and stuff. That's why my mom always said, it's so wrong, but it's like
my mama got some wisdom.
Yeah, she
I have to talk to Mama Joan.
she can say some real stuff. She'll be like, she said, are they really your friends or are they like prisoners? Like, are you really just with them because y'all in the same circumstance? Yeah. Exactly. That woke me up. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Like, now I get it.
Wow.
Cause like, are y'all just, y'all co-prisoners, like in the same circumstance.
That's wow.
You really haven't met all the people that are really there for you yet.
Wow.
Until you actually went out in the world and you've actually explored. That's why I'm such like, okay, you need to go out and explore. You need to go out and try new
That's
things.
real. Because if you hold yourself to this certain circle, this certain circle of friends, and they aren't doing that, they aren't venturing out and seeing life for what it is, you can be a prisoner. And that's so damaging for yourself, because life is so big. Like I say it all the time, we get so caught up in our surroundings, like this, not just this state, this country, this world is huge, this universe is vast. And like, I know certain, like, things hurt and things bring pain, I know it does, like, there's no getting out of that. But if you see the bigger picture of life for what it is, and whether you have a relationship with God or not, you see this universe is so vast. Like, I'm not minimizing your problem, but there are so many more things to worry about or think about, to set your mind upon. Because whether you believe in God or not, there is this big universe. And me, I do have a relationship with God. So everything in this universe is held by him. Like, nothing moves without his hand, without his say so. So you are still in his hand. And if you have found yourself coming back to him, you are on the right spot. But if you don't, this is a vast universe, and you can find joy in that, because as big as your problem is nothing compared to how big everything is around you. Like, there's so much more life to live than what you're going through.
Exactly. There's so many more people. That's why when people say I hate people, like I hate when people do this, I just think about, like, why would you say that? You haven't even met all the people that are really there for you. You only 20 years old. Like, we have so much life to give, and so much life, and so much like truth. Like, when people go through lessons and stuff, feel like they try to take it personally instead of looking at the bigger picture. Like, you're learning, not, you went through this lesson because you're meant for something great.
Right.
It's never because you're in the same spot, because if you were in the same spot, you would know. Because God would keep putting you through stuff over and over again. When you're leaving and stuff, instead of stopping and kind of like belittling that change, embrace it. I've always,
and that's a very hard thing to do, because I think we were talking earlier about like doing the inner work and not just the outer work. Like, I've realized that you can't rush the healing process. You can't rush growth, because if you reach it within a day, it's not gonna mean nothing. If you reach it the day after you got hurt, it's not gonna mean nothing. You gotta go through your grief process. And that's a healthy grief process. It's healthy. It's healthy to express those emotions. And you have to, obviously, showing the work that has been done, on the outside is great, but it doesn't distract you from the work you need to do interior, because that lesson is going to continue to come until you do that inner work and until you set that boundary.
I'm glad you said that, because I literally said, like, I was like, I don't cry about this. Like, I'm not going to cry about this. I'm going to stuff it all up and keep it moving. And I'm sitting here and I was like, no, like, you're not gonna do that. He proved me what. So me and
you gotta talk yourself into it.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here like, no, like, I'm hard body about it. Like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. It wasn't until this summer I brought my friend home and we went to church. Why did that pastor say everything that was going through my life, right? Like, literally preaching.
That's God. Gotta be.
I was so embarrassed because, like, literally, I didn't even force tears to come out. It came naturally. And I'm like, I never asked for tissues in church. But it just realized that like, okay, God, like you may like say like I can never be exposed. God gonna expose you at the right time.
Hey, everything done in the dark.
Exactly. Everything done in the dark gonna come out in the light. He exposed the fact that I was trying to act like everything is okay when obviously everything is not. You just need to embrace the fact that like emotions come. It's just how are you gonna get yourself out of that? And how are you can real. As many and like healing is not linear at all. At all. You literally go through your ups and downs and in times where you feel like, just like ending that process and just going back, but you have to stay true to yourself. Amen. And what you've set for yourself.
Amen. And that's a big lesson. Like we said, like you're not gonna learn it until you experience it, until you see it for yourself, like face on, head on, because experience is the best teacher. Like life is the best teacher. And like one thing I've always tried to do is I've tried to make the world my biggest classroom ever since I got out of high school, ever since I stepped into the real world, because like college is not just about classes. College is an experience. And it's so much more than just going to class, going back to your dorm, eating in the caf. You have these organizations, you have so many people around you that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves in these organizations, and these passions that they have. And I think when you're attached to that purpose and attached to that mission, it makes you feel bigger. It makes you feel like you are worth something bigger than yourself. And like that experience, it can't be compared to anything else. So you truly have to wake up every day and say, God, I'm ready to learn. Not just in the classroom today. Like, allow me to humble myself and say, whatever comes my way, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow from it.
You can't learn from experiences that you've never been. Like, you have to literally, like, when it comes to organizations, I was so scared to change my mind because I was like literally like, oh, like I'm so interested in fashion. I'm so interested in getting to actually like what I've done younger with my grandmother and stuff. And I was so confused about the career pathway. That was one of like the things that messed my head up bad. It was like, what do I want to do? Right. And I'm sitting here, and when I changed my minor, I kid you not, like when I started interacting with my future advisor, and just like the organizations like Verge and like this new sewing club that I'm a part of, and just like putting myself out there, I've never felt like I was like doing this. It's different when you don't even recognize that, like, oh, like, am I getting paid or not? Which money should always be a factor, but like,
I feel you.
But like when do you get like when you love something that you forget?
It's like I would do this for free, but at the same time I can't.
You can't really. Yeah, we in a
capitalist. Like, I would do
it.
You feel me?
Yeah, we cannot do.
I gotta get paid, but if I could do this for free and still, be stable and where I'm going, I definitely would. You wouldn't have to pay me a dime to do what I'm doing right now.
Yes, and I know like from a couple of like my mentees though, like they've expressed like their concern about like getting involved on campus, like for organizations and just being like cooped up. And I remember me and her like we're close and stuff. So just like that's why I feel like Impact is such a good organization to have like incoming freshmen know about these experiences like from you, but being able to like get them to go to organizations and more stuff outside of their classes. Because it gets real boring going to classes in Mount Pleasant, out of all places in Michigan, and going back to your dorm. I don't think nobody want to do that. You need to get involved in organizations involving your major, and if you don't like it, I suggest you change your major. And you need to just get more involved with people. There's always like there's friendly people around campus. You can meet some people.
You see us.
Yeah, you can come up to me. I'm always a teddy bear with a smile on my face. Come up. That's why
I may look intimidating.
exactly. I feel like that's one of the reasons why people drop out early. Is like they're afraid of the experiences that they can kind of.
Because I know, like, for a lot of people, it's such a different experience than what they used to, and a lot of people don't necessarily have the support that we do, in terms of like you able to call your mom back home, call your dad, and I am too. A lot of people don't have that. Not just a mother, not just parents, just anybody to call on, and that it puts you in isolation, and like we said, in that isolation, devil does his best work. But also, it's not always a route for everyone. There are multiple routes God will send you on that don't involve a college campus. So, that is true. But if it is for you, or I think sometimes people give up too easily, and I've seen that too. So, like she said, reach out. There are, resources, and so many nice people on this campus to meet, like so many good spirits to put yourself around, good hearts, pure hearts that want nothing but the best for you. And once you find that, don't let go of it.
Exactly, and especially like just connecting with people in your major too. If you can't find good people on campus, hey, go to your major, find some alumni that'll help you out throughout the time. Like, it's so much stuff, but until you actually get involved, you won't really know the experiences and the lessons that like you'll never know how to grow.
Exactly.
Unless you reach out. And that's something I'm still working on with my quiet self from younger, just learning how to reach out, talk, ask questions. Right. My mom it always used to irritate me, like when my mom would ask a lot of questions, like she would ask, "What's this? What's that?" Like just always, and it would embarrass me because I'm like, "Why aren't you asking all these questions?" Right. And you doing all
make it stay.
And she was like, "Why are you keep doing it?" She was like, "I'm teaching you how to be an advocate for yourself. Like I'm not." Like when you ask questions, that's the more knowledge you get. When you ask more and more questions about certain things that may confuse you. Yeah, like she was like, the more you ask questions, like when you're confused, you just sit there. When I'm confused, I'm gonna ask questions because I want to know the answer, and I know the answer gonna set you free. So I was like, okay. So I started. That's why I got into journalism, because it's like I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to understand people from their like experiences where I probably don't relate to it, but just people having that listening ear and having somebody to talk to and being able to actually just listen and just try to understand a little bit. It does so much more for people.
Yeah, it's freeing being a listening ear. Wow. Like the biggest thing is just listening to understand and not being from a place of judgment. And finding that voice, it's been like I've found it as of recent with this podcast, but I think for you, like speaking on here for these past few minutes, is also like helping you find that voice. You know what I mean? Like speaking on all these experiences and everything that you have been through within the past few years, is also freeing for you to be able to put a name to that and not just, as you said, you used to do, not just throw it to the side and truly feel these emotions, truly feel them. It's freeing for you because you no longer allow it to have necessarily the control over you that it once did.
Yeah. And just like not like I get people say it is what it is, but I used to be that. But it's like no, like you can't just say that because people want to hear your voice. People want to hear what you have to say. Sometimes I get when people say like silence is like sometimes the best
response.
Yes, the best response.
Certain cases
it is. Certain cases it is. but at the same time, it hurt is for certain circumstances. Right. But other times, people need to hear your voice because people need to hear what you have to say, the wisdom that you have to bring out. You know, right. Especially us being the star generation. Just like we should be setting the stone for the next generation to come. Right. So
especially like us being leaders on this campus, like we both hold core staff positions on Impact, you know, e-board positions coming into this new year. Like our voice really matters in terms of these incoming students as well as the underclassmen. Like they need to know that there are people here for them, you know, people with loving spirits, loving pure hearts that want nothing but the best for them. And like they won't know that unless we voice it. And that's why we say silence is not the answer in this scenario, because they won't know you're there to help them unless you voice that.
Exactly. I just because recently, like I don't know, I went down. It was my birthday, and I was with my family, but I was hanging out with more my cousin or whatnot. But I treat her like a little sister. And basically, I was hanging out with her. I'm not used to hanging out with kids, but like seeing somebody younger than me and like, okay, you have to speak positive and stuff. Like speaking to her and seeing how much she looked up to me, it just made me realize, like, okay, she looked like she had so much joy and innocence in her eyes, just looking at me, and it made me like I have to set a positive influence for her. Yeah. Because like, no, I'm not gonna be over here just like putting such a negative hold when I got her that's going to be looking at this stuff that I'm doing years and years on. So
my thing is like you never know who's watching you. Ooh. You never know who's watching, and that's something I've really understood from the experience over these past few years, because I have younger brothers, younger cousins. You know, I'm the first grandson to go to college, and so they see me if they see me doing, you know, these things that I shouldn't be doing, you know, they feel they could be more inclined to do that stuff. And the best way to lead is by example. So you never know who's watching you. So you have to be at that standard that you set for yourself. And obviously, you know, you have grace for yourself because you have room to stumble, you have room to fall. But it's the get back up that I'm speaking about. It's the get back up. You can't sit in that. You can't, because there's too many people watching, and obviously you can't do it for them. You got to do it for you. But at the same time, you can't just ignore everybody who is not necessarily dependent on you, but watching you.
Exactly. And oh my gosh, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a big thing. Like, you don't know who is truly watching you. The things that you say, the things that you put on the internet, everything, it comes with something. Like come on. Like,
whether it's good or bad.
I'll give you something. My team from our high school, and you know me, like I've known how much I've grown. Like now I really like I'll cuss when something is like you know, but like back then, oh, it was bad. Like it was bad. Cussing like a sailor. Oh, dude. Like I'm sitting here I'm just with my friends, you know, doing this. You never know who's watching you. Right. That's the point of this story. I'm doing all of this, singing with my friends, cracking it up. My future coach that was going to be on the team that I was going to be on was sitting there listening to everything that I was saying.
Your future coach.
Safe to say I did not get that position.
Right.
It was a learning lesson. Like, you never know who is watching you. He was sitting on the bleachers. One of my friends was like, I ain't say nothing because he was sitting there. Wow. Yeah. So I was just sitting here. I always remember that because it's like, okay, you need to grow from that. Like, you can't just be because like same with all like no, absolutely not. Like you have to be a better positive influence for not only younger people, but these adults are looking at you, your future employers. Right. the future jobs that you are going to be applying for, like you gotta set the record straight. That's why I don't post any and everything on Instagram.
That's real.
Twitter.
Yeah. Not everything can be posted.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a good perspective you gave to it. Not just the people below you looking up to you. Like there's people above you that may want you for these future positions. Like for your future, you have to be aware of who's watching you.
They really want to give it to some girl Keisha shaking her booty on the internet. Like no, don't give it. You don't give it to the girl that's cousin over there with the curly hair, cousin like it's Taylor. Like don't give it. Don't give it to that dude gangbanging on the internet. Like it's just
Talking about poor pockets full.
Talking about photos. Girl, please. Not NBA. Like we need to get it together. You
as people.
Yes, you need to get yourself together. Check yourself. These people are watching you. That's why I get on this internet. I see these people like as much. I'm not gonna lie. It used to catchy a little bit, like that song we doing in Impact.
Sexy Red.
Yeah, hey, look, forgive me, but
I don't even listen. Like the lyrics, but that. Yeah.
It's like, ooh, seeing them on the internet, like twerking and all that other stuff. I just think about like every time I'm like, how is our future kids gonna look at this? That was a recent thought that I had today. I was looking at TikTok. What am I gonna talk about in this?
No, for real. For real.
That's why be careful. Be careful.
You always have to be wary, and like your decisions, they don't just affect who you are now, but who you will be. And we gotta be conscious of that at all times. And you know, like I said, you're gonna fall, you're gonna stumble, but you gotta get back up and learn from that. Like you can't repeat that mistake. You may not have the same grace by God when you repeat that same mistake again. He might not reel you back in if you repeat that same mistake again.
Like that mistake from high school. Oh yeah, it hurt me enough to know to not make that same mistake again. Cause that was bad. That was terrible.
Future coach gang.
Like I was like, ooh, I'm never talking to you again. That's gonna be embarrassing.
Yeah, Alayna, I want to thank you again for hopping on this podcast. It was real. I got a lot of I mean, we had a lot of good conversations about a lot of stuff that college, not just college kids, like people in life are faced with. And you know, I think it will be very freeing for a lot of listeners. I hope so. Yeah. It was definitely good. If you have any last thoughts or you want to leave any of your social media handles or anything.
Y'all already know where to find me. It's Alayna. So you can get me at Lana XJ, you know. Oh, that's the only social media I got.
So y'all tap in there.
Yes, that's really the only one. Social media coordinator for Impact. So
yes, our program coming up.
Yeah, so make sure to check it out.
Get ready to do our thing, man.
Be ready. That's all I gotta say though. But thank you for having me on this podcast. I truly do appreciate it. It was a really good conversation.
Of course. It definitely was. It definitely was. Thank you again. Thank you all for listening. If you can, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast as much as you can. Leave a review if you can, wherever you're listening, and make sure to tune in to the next episode. Thank y'all for listening once again.